Today I want to talk about three areas that I believe every man should look at, and not just look at, but have a idea of where he wants to go with those things and how they're impacting his life. The first one of these, which is the foundation, is his health. It still amazes me how many guys don't look after their health. It's almost like a form of self-harming, the way they eat and the way they drink and what they consume. And a lot of these guys look at their health as if it's something that they don't need to pay attention until something goes wrong. But a lot of guys don't understand what it's going to give them in terms of their mindset and how much clarity and focus it's going to give them, how much clearer they're going to feel when they start to look after their health. And it's really common for guys to say to me, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know who I want to be. And I always say it doesn't matter. And I think I'm rare in that area as a coach that says it doesn't matter. Just go for your foundation first. Because what I found is, if you look after your health, if you start to tidy up your palate, what you consume and what you eat, and you start to embark on an exercise program that's going to deliver real mental health, your goals come out of that. And people say, well, how does that happen? How can just eating healthy and exercising in a particular way suddenly manifest a particular goal you want to do? Because physical exercise and food is the bedrock of discipline. It's the bedrock of mental strength. So when you do these things, it gives you a confidence and a belief in yourself like nothing else does. And I found, talking to many of my old personal trainer friends, they've said that they used to get a lady or a man come to them, no confidence, maybe they'd have some really bad luck in life, and they'd start training. And they went on to climb mountains, they went on to do incredible things physically. And once they had that belief in themselves, that aha moment, if I can do this with my body, if I can do this with my palate, how could I transfer that into other areas of my life I'm not looking at? And that's the beauty of physical training. And controversial or not, I still say that if you go to a serious exercise program for 6 months, it's worth a lifetime of dialogue therapy or dialogue coaching even, because it gives you a real experience. It breaks through the possibilities of what you thought you could do. I always remember one of my young men, a client, I won't name him, but I remember him really crying once with me when he'd been training with me for 6 months really hard, and he broke all the boundaries of who he thought he was and what he thought was possible. And I remember him crying and saying to me, I never thought I was capable of this. What a wonderful moment. He went on to do great things, but I remember him saying that in tears, I never thought I was capable of this. So physical exercise does break through boundaries of who that person thinks they are and what they're capable of doing, like nothing else. So it's really important. So I always put health at number one and how important that is. You can achieve great things just by working on your palate and working on your fitness. Doing those things are great. I mean, we live in a world where people will judge you on what work you're doing, what grades you've got, and how that's going. They don't praise men and women enough for creating major breakthroughs in how they're eating and how they're training. And they're really, really important, because with the onset of AI, which is basically going to remove so many jobs and make our life even more comfortable, hence more fragile will the human race become. No one can do your training for you. No one can create an eating habit for you. You have to do it yourself. So the people that do this are going to end up in the future being the most resilient. They're going to be the people that create real change because they've got some strong discipline in their daily habits. And AI will never be able to take that away. But I think a lot of people are going to become lazier, more fragile, more vulnerable because of the technology of the future. But it's the ones that actually create what I like to call a self-imposed suffering in their life. Not in a negative way, but in a positive way, because when we hear that word suffering, we instantly think negative, but in a positive way, to make you more resilient, to make you more robust, to make you more disciplined. They're the ones that are going to shine even more in the future. And this is particularly important if you're a young guy listening to this. How am I going to stand out? What's going to give me the edge? That's what's going to give you the edge. That's what's going to make you stand out. So health is definitely number one. Let's look at number two, relationships. Every man is concerned about his relationships. He's concerned about the relationship he's in, the relationships maybe that he's thinking about having. He's not in one yet. Maybe you're a father and you have children. Maybe you're a young man that's thinking about having children later on in life. Either way, that's a really important thing, because you've got to remember, as men, it is your duty and your responsibility to mentor your children. You're going to be their first hero. You're going to be their first masculine role model. What's that looking like at the moment for you? If you're a father, do you see much of your children? Are you mentoring your children? Are you taking an interest in what they're learning at school? Are you taking an interest in making sure they've got that health foundation in place as well? I can tell you now, my boys are young. I was a late starter, so I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I've also got a daughter of 16. But my boys train several days a week, and they're going to start upping that very, very soon as they get older. I don't give them a choice. Because they don't have any choice about learning maths and English. They don't have a choice about learning geography. So why should they be given a choice about physical training, learning how to handle themselves? Because one day they're going to be leader of their own family. They need to be a protector. They need to be a leader. These things should start very, very early. The earlier, the better. And I'll also say, what habits have you got in place now you'd be ashamed if your children knew about? Now, that's a big one. What habits have you got in place now if your children knew about, you'd be ashamed for them to know? That's a big signal. You need to sort them out. You need to look at them. What values do you portray in front of your children? Because remember, if your actions and your words are incongruent, then your actions neutralise your words completely, because all children look at is your actions. So it doesn't matter if you're a young man thinking of having a family later on, and whether you're a father now. Those are the things to look at now. If you're a father already, you want to sort those weaknesses and habits that you know you wouldn't like them to know. You want to sort them out now, because in some way, shape or form, they will come out eventually. The truth always comes out. So it's really important that you mentor your children. You are the example that you want them to follow. So that's a really big one, is our relationships. Same with your partners, your prospective partners or your partners now. Be careful with this vulnerability nonsense that's going around, okay? It doesn't mean fragility. It means that you've got the ability to take risk. You've got to put yourself on the line. You're putting yourself on the line to be a leader and to be a protector. That's the vulnerability. Vulnerability was never meant to be fragility. It was never meant to be a reason to become more feminine, like a woman. Women don't want you to act like women. They don't want a mirrorage of themselves. They want a sensitivity that doesn't threaten your masculinity and their idea of it. It's really important to know the difference, because we've had many adverts on TV. I think I remember the Man Up campaign, where men were crying on TV and encouraged to cry, encouraged to show their emotions, but they didn't give them any bedrock of strength on the top of that. In fact, beforehand, all they've been doing within Hollywood and the media is emasculating men, softening men, and then asking them to show their feelings more. This is why it's not worked. And the suicide rates and mental health issues in men reflect that. Nothing's stopping it. Even though more and more men are seeking therapists now, and more men are seeking conversations with their doctor about their mental health, it's gone up quite substantially now. It's a lot more accepted. It's doing nothing to alleviate the mental health and suicide levels in men, because that sort of sensitivity and softening was never the solution we were sold. It was never the panacea. So strength for your partner, strength for your children are really important. Really important. And it doesn't mean you're hard enough where you don't look at your children's sensitivities and problems and their fears. That's another issue there as well. If maybe one of your children's not speaking to you, maybe both of them aren't, which is a real problem with you, not them. You need to lean into that. You need to lean into that and try and connect with them and see what the problem is. But none of that's going to work if you're not a role model. You have to be a role model for your children, not just in one area, in all areas. How you hold yourself, the values you live by, and the actions that you take in order to look after your family and be a model for the society around you. So that's a big one. Lastly, I would say is career. Obviously, these are in not in order, but I think they should be. I think health is number one, and you've got relationships, and you've got your career, your ambition. Most men end up in jobs they hate. Most men end up in jobs they don't want to do and they have no passion for. It happens easily. It really does. And it happens probably to all of us at some point or another. Allow yourself to dream and think, what would I really like to do if money was no object? If I could overcome the fears that I've got, what would I really like to do? And again, if you don't know, that's okay. Sort out your health first. Push the boundaries physically, if you're a young man especially, of what you can do. And it will give you the confidence and the self-belief to then look at the ambition and a career that you feel you could then do. And the physicality behind it will give you conviction behind your words, your beliefs, your actions. It will never leave you. It's so important. But allow yourself to dream, guys. What would you really like to do? If there was no restrictions to you at all, what would you really like to do? You're thinking of something into the future and see yourself doing it, and then you work backwards and look at the space in between the two and work out a plan to get there. I'll go into this more as in the next few videos, in the future videos that I do here. But allow yourself to dream. People just don't do it. They're so beaten down, lack so much confidence and so much self-belief, they don't allow themselves to dream. And you cannot rely on the people around you often as well, because a lot of the times the people around us bring our dreams down. They say, who do you think you are? You can't do that. We're not like that in this family. And these just aren't true. They're just old scripts, old narratives floating around of conditioning that you picked up along the way. So allow yourself to dream. It's really important. And if you don't know, hit the physical arena. Do something that really pushes you. Do something that makes you frightened. I'm looking at martial arts here specifically, but do something that's really going to push you. And it's going to make you look at yourself. It's going to bring out all those weaknesses and chinks in your armor, kicking and screaming to the surface. That's what we want with everything. We don't want to turn away from stuff. We want to turn into it, so that we can alchemize these parts of us into something more positive. But for now, allow yourself to think about what you want to do. And maybe you're already doing what you want to do, but maybe you've hit a sticking point. But those three things are really, really important to look at as a man. I think that they're the main core things that men talk about of what they want to do, and the things that are meaningful to them. And sometimes we miss them. Sometimes I've met guys that they're going to the gym all the time, but they're in a career that they hate or job that they hate. Sometimes guys are doing a really great, they've got a great career and they're working all the time. They've let their health disappear. They've let their health suffer. The relationships, of course, suffer as well through that. So those three things are really important, to spend time and effort as a man on cultivating and protecting. And then we come back to that thing I talk about a lot. Make sure as a man you're protecting what really matters to you. Write that down. What really matters to me in my life? And make sure you're protecting that. Because we often find ourselves not doing that, ending up in a place where we damage relationships, our health, and our ambitions and career by not having really aimed at what we need to protect, what really means a lot to us. And that obviously will involve saying no a lot of the time to offers that come in, to things that come in that you don't really need to be doing and you don't really be swaying away from your goals from. So make sure you write down what really matters to me, what do I need to protect, and it'll be a reminder for you of what really does matter, and you can build your future based upon those things.